to connect,
Oh,
but it should
okay.
be connecting
Wait,
like
I don't even
any.
know how to do this.
Oh, I learned how to do it and it's been a lifesaver. So you can connect your Zoom to YouTube. Okay, it's connected and
Yes.
I am muted. Okay, I love it. Hi. Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lynn.
It's so nice to see you. Your skin looks super glowing today.
Thank you.
I
It's
mean, we're going to
been,
talk about your skin a lot, but
yeah.
like you are like a perfect model for your brand because look at your glowing skin. You look, if I had to guess your age, I would guess that you're not over 40.
Thank you very much. I just turned 61.
I mean,
You
people
know,
always think I look younger too, which
yes,
I
yes.
love, but you do have
Thank
great,
you.
great
Thank
skin.
you. I think if you want to talk about it a little bit, we can talk about what my actual regimen is. I mean,
Oh,
I get
yeah.
that question all the time. And I think the foundation of health, just like vitamins and what you eat and your intake and nutrients and protein balance and all those things affect your body, it's affecting your skin. And I think that taking care of your skin, like the way you take care of your body, is basically how your skin comes out. And if you weren't taking care of it 20, 25 years ago and you were in the sun all the time,
Mm.
and you didn't have a facial regimen, or you weren't seeing a dermatologist, or you're just washing your face with water, then, it's going to show up. And
Okay,
we
but
get a
what do
lot
you
of those
do
questions.
if you're somebody our age and you didn't know all that stuff back then and it's too late? Like you've already done it. Is there anything you can do to start to like make up for all that bad behavior?
It's never too late, as our dermatologist advisor, Dr. Beth Goldstein, always says. There are short-term remedies, right, towards you getting your face sort of back into shape, whipping it into shape. And that requires either intervasive sort of lasers, right? Peels. It means seeing your dermatologist. It means getting your sunspots and age spots, things like that, those types of hyperpigmentations, using products that are prescribed to get those things down, or just zapping them off if you have, more minor sort of discolorations. That helps you look youthful immediately. I am I'm a big proponent of LED masks. So once you start going into the
Interesting.
non-FDA dermatological arena, you can use LED masks. And I'm a big believer in those, 3 minutes a day, 4 minutes a day, every other day. Do you use one?
I don't, but I have a little LED device that's like, and it has different modes. And I'll
Yeah.
sometimes sit there and watch my, Squid Games or whatever the latest
Yes.
thing, Severance. That's my,
Yes.
and I'll just, And
Yeah.
then the other thing that I got, which I didn't, my brother got it for me, and it's been amazing, is this device that you put on your eyes,
Oh, yes.
and it heats and massages your eyes.
Oh, cool.
And because after my chemo, my glands all got absolutely shot, and so
Right.
I have like permanent dry eye.
Hmm.
And I went and had my this is gonna sound weird, but since we're talking about all this stuff, my lashes lasered because it shrinks
Yeah, the
those
little
glands that were
pills.
constantly getting all like
Oh,
inflamed.
wow.
And it did help, but it doesn't, it was sort of like if I was like bad, like my eyes were constantly watering and I was like an 8 out of 10 bad,
Yeah.
I'm like a 4 now. So it's not back to like normal, but it's way better. But
Right.
that this thing, you put it on and it's become like it's a 10-minute routine and it's a nice moment for yourself and it massages. So that's what my eye
Really?
doctor told me to do too, like to massage under here
Right. Wow.
to get
So,
all that excess like oil
you
out of
know
your
what?
glands. Because
Your brother must have done a lot of research, because that is not something I've ever heard of. So, how cool
I
is
had never heard of it either. And so he gives it to me, and Then I go to see my eye doctor a few months ago and she starts talking about it. She's like, you know, there's this new device on the market. And I'm like, I have it.
Oh my
Like,
gosh. He's like he's top of the trend
I know. And
before
so she's like,
us.
you got to start using it. And so I have been, and I do really like it. And
Good.
so you're right. There are these interesting kind of emerging technologies that are
Yeah,
not going to replace, they're not meant to, but they'll supplement.
exactly. That's right. And they're not super invasive. What's the name of your eye device? Do you
Oh
know?
gosh, I don't know
I was
actually.
just curious.
I can
It's always nice. I mean, I mine
I'll
is
drop
doesn't
it
have a
in
name
the
either.
notes on YouTube after.
Yeah.
Just I'll look
Yeah.
it up and then I'll put it in. But
Exactly. It's like an LED mask, right? I just have an LED panel, which means it's a flat panel that you hold up to your face
oh,
or,
so
you
it's
know,
not one of those fitting things
it's
that,
not a fitting mask because I've been using this for so long, right? I've even done full body LED.
oh my gosh.
And yeah, that's what happens when you live in New York City and you can go to a fancy esthetician, or, back when we had big corporate jobs.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many good estheticians. I mean, we're in a few now
Right.
that are
That's
fantastic.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So, keep taking care of your skin isn't just about what you eat. It's actually about what you do every day, every
Yeah.
week. So, for example, and maybe I can just go through the regimen before we talk about care
Yeah.
and how, because
Let's
most people are
do it.
super interested in what do I do about my skin? If you are someone who is just cleansing and moisturizing, you're definitely not doing enough. And that's because you have to create cell turnover.
Yeah.
Um, and keep promoting that glow. Your skin cells are, happy to continue to turn over and regenerate. But as you get older and you have hormone decline starting at the age of 31, and then it escalates in your 40s, and then in your 50s, technical menopause happens for most people. But I just talked to a woman where her entire family, they started at 42 to 46 years old,
Mm,
which is like, so menopause can happen early for some people. And what's happening is you have that sudden loss of estrogen, testosterone. It's like a crash, like when you were having, hormonal sort of fluctuations when you were a teenager, and then also when you were pregnant. Those are the only two times that you probably had a hormonal disruption, unless you have a surgical intervention or you have chemotherapy or radiation or
yeah.
something that's invasive, such as that, to your body. So what's happening is you're no longer able to sort of turn the lights on to your skin cells.
Hmm.
So you're just kind of they're just sitting there, right? And that yet you no longer have the hormones to go blink, blink, blink. Here I am, grow,
Mm,
grow, grow, promote glow, everything. So starting off is making sure that you find time in your week, no matter how busy you are, to do some level of exfoliation, once a week. I do a
yeah.
big regimen every Sunday. As soon as I wake up, it's, cleanse the face. And then I start putting on like a mild acid peel type of a facial. It's sort of
Interesting.
something in
And
my
every week
world
you do that.
every week in my world of working with the celebrity Halle Berry.
Mm,
She taught me about this as a part of her regimen. And I, to this day, do that.
mm,
And it's just a way to get your skin to really get your skin just real cleaned off and exfoliated. Then I put on a mask. Now, most people think of masks as those charcoal masks, right?
yeah.
They're dark. Those are very drying as you age. You know how
Mhm.
they get on the skin and you can feel it like tight, 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 tightening?
Hang on 1 second. Oh,
Yes.
do not chew the pillow. Come on down.
Oh
Here.
my.
He was over there chewing. I saw him in the camera. Come
Oh,
on,
I was like,
Enzo.
what? Why is he
Look,
jumping up there? He's been
and
in the
look,
video for
he's
a
looking at
while.
me. If you could see his face, he's
Yeah.
looking at me
Oh, he's
so
going back to the
seriously right
pillow.
now. Enzo, come here. Come here. All right, we're just going to keep talking, but I may have to go
Okay. Oh,
intervene. Oh,
yeah,
there
there
we
he
go.
is. There he is.
No, he's still got the pillow. Give me 1 second.
Oh, there you
Why
go. It's
don't you hold your
pillow
products
too.
up for a show and tell while I go wrestle with
Okay, so then I do a mask, right? And those charcoal masks are very drying. You also don't want to use something with beads. A lot of times people use these beads, but those micro beads um, are sometimes made of microplastics. And if they're natural sort of materials, those rip the skin and scar the skin depending on how much pressure you put on. And that isn't necessarily great for our thinning skin. So our skin is getting thinner as we age. So we came up with the triple lift molecule mask because we wanted to find a clear tightening mask that would actually sort of um, smooth the skin, create instant plumping and hydration, while also firming the skin and tightening. So what it does is instead of using a microplastic, it uses a natural sugar. So it has a clearish representation in the jar. And I'll just open it up so you can see a little bit of it.
And
And
just clarify for me, was this the first product that you guys made?
no, the serum was, but
The serum was.
serum and
Okay.
the mask, these are two products. This was the first product that gave us a real aha. We saw a
Okay.
product on the market from a doctor who it was like on a television shopping show. And we saw this mask that he had done, and I bought it. I was like hooked. Oh my God, look at the afters. Well, once I put it on my face, it smelled like a chemical toxic waste dump.
Ooh.
And I was like, ooh, I had to turn on the fan in my bathroom. I
Yeah,
was
no
like, there's
good.
no way I can use this. And it was tightening and it got super, super tight. And then you take it off, you'd rinse it off, and it was like, oh my gosh, my skin is so glowy. It is smoother. I said, so we showed it to our key scientist, Dr. Joe, and he was like, this has microplastics in it.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
that's what happens out there. There are lots of microplastics in skincare. So the ingredient, polyvinyl alcohol, which you will find in a lot of major brands out there. I
Mm.
will not name them, but they are owned by major conglomerates,
Yep.
people that we know all around the world. And Lynn, you've done your research because you vetted not only our brand as a consciously clean brand, but I don't know, 50 to 100 others.
Yeah.
So we know what your Yuga app is telling you, or the other apps are telling you. And so this mask was full of plastics, and we developed one with natural sugars that really tighten, but also all the yummy ingredients that are going to firm and hydrate the skin. And we also have a PBC partner called Lunacent, and this is an amazing, amazing applicator because you just pour the mask onto it, the clear mask onto it, and then you apply it to the skin. You don't have to touch it. And this is
Mm.
like the consistency of honey. So
Yeah.
that way you're not getting it all over your hands and you're not contaminating the jar. I love this little device for application because of that. So
And
I
I
just
love that
wanted
you
to show
have the
that.
pink one too, which matches.
Yes. Of course, Care is an evolved pink. It's a
Yes.
grown-up pink. That's what I like to say. This is not Barbie pink.
No,
And
but
so
it's lovely.
yeah, so after apply a mask and you've exfoliated it, your skin is really ready to almost take in anything. So one of the steps that I use is using a toner. Now, a lot of women don't use a toner, but a toner resets your skin. When they talk about pH balance, nobody knows what that means. Everybody's like, what is that? So nobody uses a toner. Or we were taught to use alcohol toners. Well, alcohol toners are not good for grown-up skin. It's
Yeah.
too drying. It's stripping the oils, like you were talking about your eyes. Imagine, all of that getting stripped away from your entire face every day from your toner. So I use a natural botanical one. And you have worked with this brand before because it's called Dew from Circel,
Mm.
and they're also a clean brand. And it's
Yes.
something that I discovered a very long time ago that really helps my skin get ready. So my skin says, I'm awake now. Give me the yummy stuff. And what's the yummy stuff? Our Theorem Serum Boost. So our Theorem Serum Boost is really something we call molecular nutrition. It's like a vitamin for your skin. You take it twice a day on your skin, your entire face, but it's also one of the only serums that's also good for around the eyes. So, what does that mean? It means that it works on droopy eyes, dark circles, and eye bags. And who doesn't have those starting in their 30s? So, it's clear, it's thick, rich. That one drop will go all across
Yeah, that'll cover your whole face.
your neck, your décolleté or chest, and then don't forget the back of your hands because that shows your age right
Yeah.
away. So, throughout the day,
Mm,
we just do this,
yeah.
right? Now, I don't have on any foundation. This is this is my natural skin, and this is how it glows, right? And this is, we're talking about someone, myself, who had dry skin. In my entire life, I've had dry skin. And it wasn't until I discovered La Mer in maybe my, late 30s for, $200, to
Yeah.
$300 for like a quarter of the size of what our jar is of cream. It was the only thing that worked. Now I have women who I actually, for the second time, if someone told me they only had used Vaseline
Oh
until they
God, no.
discovered our product because they tried so many products and had no success. The only thing they ever found that worked was Vaseline. Can you imagine putting Vaseline on your face every day?
That's awful.
Because they couldn't find anything that would work. I just finished talking to a woman who has very sensitive skin. She could never wear anything. She tried the product, she loved it. And that's one of our trademarks. We're really creating something not just with the major science ingredients, super ingredients. We also put science behind it. So, what are the ingredients in
Mm.
this serum? We have a triple lift. We have a triple spectrum of hyaluronic acid. So you hear on the L'Oreal commercials how to pronounce it. Well, let's call it HA for
Yeah,
short.
exactly.
So if you think about sunscreen, you have a broad spectrum, right? Well, most hyaluronic acids are not broad spectrum. What does that mean? We have from the smallest molecule, the tiniest one in the world, which almost no one has, to the larger molecule all the way through. So that means with the smaller molecules, it's really getting into the skin. Um, and we also bioferment it, just like wine, beer. Some
Yeah.
some skincare does that, but it helps to really break down the molecules and really get into the skin. So it's taking these yummy ingredients and pulling them into the skin in a different way. That's why when you use our products, things like inflammations and things like that will go away over time because it's like it's purging the skin at a higher level. So after you use a serum, you can choose to use a vitamin C serum. Some people for brightening, right? So you want to get rid of the spots, things like that. Vitamin C really works. The one sort of tip is that vitamin C's only work for about 3 months to 6 months after opening it. It deteriorates just like
Mm.
an orange, and fruits do. A good vitamin C is not going to last forever, but you should be using it every day if you really have spots and you want brightening. Some people will choose to use an ACE yes, CE ferulic. So E is good, an antioxidant for pollution, oxidative damage, and the ferulic is also helping with that oxidative damage. So the external factors, you really can't combat sun damage
Mm.
because once your skin is really in poor shape from the sun, the only thing that's going to work with sun damage is something that's going to be invasive that you're going to have to do with your dermatologist. And then after you use a serum, then you can go to a moisturizer. And we have something called the Grown Up Moisturizer. It's Oprah Daily Award winning. It has a patent for its lipid emulsion. Lipids are the only parts of your body that you want to be fat, right? Like you want the lipids to be fat, and they start to deflate with your hormone decline. So you want to make sure that you're replenishing it as you start to see your skin getting crepey. That's where a product like this really comes in
Mm.
handy. And that's why it's one best midlife hydrator because it's helping to fill in that crepey skin with this lipid emulsion that is a unique way of delivering skincare to the skin. So if you don't have a full regimen, um, that at least has cleanse and a serum, then you're doing a disservice for your skin as it ages, because you're not feeding it what it needs. And then if you're not using a system like Care that's really helping to promote that skin cell generation, regeneration, then what's going to happen is your skin's going to continue to look dull and dry. And you're going to be wondering what's going on. And it's because the formulas just don't have the science in the same way. You can't take just a natural product and put it on your skin, a natural oil, and it be good and effective from a pro-aging standpoint. And that's what we are. We're pro-aging versus anti-aging because we believe that this is something that's positive for your skin. And we never say we're getting old. We just say we're getting grander and wiser, right?
You're right about that, but that was okay, very, very interesting. And I feel like in the last year, my crepey skin has gotten really
Yeah,
noticeable here,
yeah,
my neck. So I
yeah.
need to start using that because that is no,
Yeah,
and that
and
is a challenge because like
it
my
is.
face might look young, but then my neck looks old.
Everyone's necks go really fast, because of the gravity, right?
Uh-huh.
Wrinkles are repetitive motion and loss of gravity. Like it's not positive, but basically your bone structure changes, right? And your skin structure is thinning. So your skin is moving away from your face, like it's thinning out and
Yeah,
moving away. So it's sagging. And so even though your skin regenerates, your bones regenerate, everything like that, they just don't have the capability to regenerate at a high level, which is why people are trying stem cells and other
right.
things, right? Because they're trying to maintain the fountain of youth in their body because your body is regenerating. So you just need more things in it to help with longevity. So our skincare is built on a longevity, health, and wellness platform versus just a traditional skincare platform because
Mm.
we're approaching it differently. In your neck, short term, dermatologists have a heat technique called peleve, that will work really well to tighten that area of the neck. It's a little bit pricey, but it is something that the only thing that's going to help with the neck over time is a neck lift.
Oh,
Um,
gee.
and that's an invasive
Yeah,
procedure.
that's
That's the only way because you really can't put Botox into the neck because the neck
no.
is built on bands, right? You can't put in fillers because fillers drop down. So there's not much you can do from an injectable standpoint. So really it's about
Mm.
taking care of that area and keeping it as hydrated as possible, especially now when we're all on computers so much, right?
Oh my gosh, all the time, right?
We are. So, you never think to almost put your serum and moisturizer down here, but that's where you need to put it too. I
Oh
bet
my
that's
God.
part of
Now
the big miss.
I'm going to upgrade my routine after this and really start working because it's true. I'm like, you're right. We're so focused on our face, but this part is
Yep.
so
Not
important.
just here, but here.
Yeah, this whole area. And
All
of
of
course, I
this. And
still have my pores.
if you're a side sleeper, you're going to get wrinkles right there too, right? In the,
Oh yeah, which I am because I move around a lot.
yep,
So there's that.
yep.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So many things. So how long, so when did you launch Care? Let's go back a little bit to the beginning of your story,
So
just to
Celeste and I launched Care and really came up with the idea back in 2020. So it'll be 5 years coming up.
similar to us. Yeah, same timing.
Yes.
And so you launched right during COVID too, then.
During COVID, yes, we
Yeah.
had our scientists. We had started thinking about formulations. We had tried that icky plastic mask, and we said we want to build a mask and a serum. Now, most people wouldn't go down the mask route, but we really believed in it, and we saw
Mhm.
how something like a Hanicure could, which burns off your face in many cases, had built traction. So if you build the right type of mask, it could potentially be something that people talk about, but people want more aggressive action. You turn all
Yeah,
red,
they want like
bruised, and
instant.
Yeah,
you
and I was
know?
like, oh, I'm not doing that, I don't want to do that to my face. I tried it and I was like, oh my God, this thing is so painful. I can't keep it on. So we really built something that we felt people would love that came from us that we knew we needed. And serums were sort of the base of that. So we started in 2020. We actually got into and were accepted into an investment accelerator called ERA, or the Entrepreneurs Roundtable Accelerator. So that was our first six-figure check. And so I would say we were very fortunate that, number one, you know this. Once you've been in an environment where you've already started a company, and I had been working for a billionaire investor, then you're in this world of people who invest in companies like this. So I knew other companies who had gone through this accelerator. We applied and we were very fortunate to get in and also to win a number of pitch competitions. And which meant that we were able to get off the ground with these different types of investors who believed in us and who continue to believe in us. So that was the beginning of our journey and
Great.
story. But we didn't launch, until the very end of that year or so, right? We really were doing like beta. We dug down deep, Lynn. Like we actually went to a sort of packaging supplier that does like offshoots. Like they might buy something in bulk that no one else is using on an end lot. And that's what we launched in. We've got our own labels and we we batched up in our lab and we filled it ourselves. We put,
Yep.
and we started selling. We got all the certifications and we were off and selling. So, that was the beginning of the journey. And that's why we didn't get our patents right away or anything like that, because we didn't want to invest too
It's
much in the very
expensive.
beginning.
People don't realize how
Yes,
expensive it is, all the
yes,
certifications, the patents,
that's
all
right.
that. It's
Yeah,
not cheap to
yeah.
do. And so,
No, it's not. And I think that people also, if you go to a contract manufacturer, in most cases, they want you to buy 10,000 units,
yeah,
right? It's very, very infrequent that you could buy 5,000 units of something.
yeah,
It really is difficult to do that. But if you go to a simple packaging supplier like we did, which was called McKernan, they're in Illinois, and you buy odd lots and,
yeah,
it's a simple serum bottle, you can go to someone that might make you 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces. But you have to have a laboratory who is going to work with you to build that product inside. And so what ends up happening is most people go to not a lab, but they go to a contract manufacturer. Well, in order for that contract manufacturer to really make money, they need you to do 5,000 to 10,000 pieces
right.
and to invest that time in you. So I know I went a little bit off script, but I think this is about the fundamentals of how you start a beauty business. And it's not just, open up your kitchen and start batching and thinking, I'm not
Yeah,
going to have any bacterial growth, or I'm not going to have
right. I know all
any
that. Well, and
any
you're one of the
leakage.
only founders in the in the collab that has investment money, has gotten money.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so I
I
mean,
didn't realize that.
yeah,
Okay.
kudos to you. I don't think out of our 50 or so brands, there may be one or two others, but that's it.
Yes,
So
I think it's I think it really is the fact that I'd run a startup for someone. And I had built it on a digital framework and I had successes with that business. So that helps sort of the background and knowledge, and that helped the managing directors of ERA to really believe in us and invest in us. And they continue to be partners to this day. They're
that's
they're
great.
they're helpful anytime I need them, you know.
So any words of advice to any founders listening that are thinking, oh, how do I do that? How do I get investment money? So do you have any tips to help people get investor ready?
So 2020 was a different environment than
Hmm.
right now. We're in 2025, right? And I know we'll be on YouTube forever. But consumer products and beauty brands have had a challenge exiting for the valuations that venture capitalists have wanted you to have. So as a result, you really need to do what you've done, have funding that you have of your own that, or, or you're working part-time to really get your business started. I would say if you're starting a beauty brand, it needs to be your side hustle for a long time.
Mm.
And there are classic stories of people, from the bootstraps, that did this as, maybe they were out there on the weekends, etc. I think about, but then there are people who haven't done that, right? I think about people who really scrappy in the beginning, like Melissa Butler, Lip Bar. I used to see her out there. She'd be at the little concerts at the parks around the city in her little van doing, lip touch-ups and things like that. And it was something, her side hustle, pretty much. And yet you have other people who've been, maybe they've been in investment banking and they have had some opportunity to save and they know that world. So for me, today with AI, there's ways to reach angel investors that I didn't know about 5 years ago. But people are really looking for technology and AI um, investments. So if you're going to be in beauty, you have to find an insight
Mm.
from a scientific standpoint. Um, or if it's an ingredient focus like yours, is there a technology that you can use to help heighten what that is to make it even more appealing to investors? Because even
Yeah.
us who are working on raising our second round, it's still very, very difficult,
Yeah.
you know?
Has the reaction from investors changed over the 5 years since you launched? Because we've been through a lot as an industry.
Yes. Yeah. So in the beginning, just like now, I mean, I have meetings every day, right? So it's just a matter of getting people rallying around and saying yes, right? It's like a full-time job when you're doing fundraising. So I think it's a matter of do you have the time and the focus when you're running a business to raise the money? And um so my recommendation, if I were doing it all again and I said, I want to do this, I would have signed up to crowdfund. Um, and so there's different ways of crowdfunding. There's Kickstarter, right? Which is
Yep.
it's not regulatory, it's not SEC regulated, right? Um, and then if you're going to do the other routes, you really need to be a Delaware C Corp, right? And that means you have to go through the registrations, the legal, and have the financial infrastructure to be able to apply to these accelerators and to do legal sort of crowdfunding, et cetera. But you need to have some of that in place, and that can be a $50,000 nugget right there.
Oh, easy.
You
Yeah, it's
know, I mean,
expensive.
your
Yeah.
trademarks. We were lucky to find a patent attorney that was willing to work with us that lives here in New York and also in Japan, who works primarily on pharmaceuticals. And he knew that our scientists had almost 40 patent
Mm.
filings and it was easy for them, you know?
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
unique technology. Can you do crowdfunding with a friends and family round? If you go to Y Combinator, they have I think they have a post money safe up there. A safe is a simple agreement for equity. We and ERA believe in a pre-money safe. Um, and that's what I've raised on.
That's
So
amazing. Well,
it's
kudos to you for figuring all that
hey,
out. It's not
and
easy.
don't just look at Shark Tank for valuations.
Right, right. Well,
Don't
that's
do
the
that.
hard part too, is in beauty, the valuations can be like literally zero. There are
Yeah,
people that go, your
yeah.
business is worth nothing, which you're like, what? To like,
Well, none of our businesses are worth anything right now.
right,
About it. We haven't made any money yet.
right, right.
At least we haven't. We're close to it, but once we build our momentum, and we need have more inventory, it becomes really challenging to fund that inventory. So you have to
Yeah.
you have to have really strong financial strength in order to succeed. I mean, we've been fortunate. We were able to, was able to get us an SBA loan, right? Small Business Administration. But that's still money you owe. It's like the COVID money
Yeah.
that some people got. You still owe it, but you owe it over 10 years instead of owing it immediately, you
Yeah,
know? But it's
exactly.
still at an interest rate that's high. So, and the government is never going to like leave you alone. So you're always going to have to pay this
Mhm.
back. There is not going to be forgiveness. So
Yeah.
you just have to know that. And those small tips that I have, but you have to have 3 years of consistent sales growth in order to apply for the SBA. But it can be done, you know.
Yeah. Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you. I love hearing
Uh-huh.
more about, I always learn something.
Uh-huh.
I've learned more about, I didn't know some of that about your mask, so now I'm like interested. But where can people find you?
Oh, we're available at carebeauty.com. So care is not spelled Care or Clair. It's spelled Caire, which is care with an I in the middle. It's an anagram for eye care. So carebeauty.com. You can also find us on Amazon.com, Nordstrom.com, davidsbridal.com, and soon to be QVC.
Oh, I love it. And of course, you're part of the Dahlia New York City pop-in
Yes,
that's going
absolutely.
on for the next month or two. So if you're in Soho, New York City, you can pop by and see Care Beauty and buy some right then and there.
Absolutely. Oh, and we're in Central Market in Texas.
Oh,
Also,
lovely.
Aaliyah in North Carolina. So we
Lovely.
have a few pockets of believers.
I
Definitely.
love it. Well, thank you, Lori. Enjoy the rest of your day and